Have you ever noticed how easily people can ruin your mood? One rude comment, one disrespectful action, and suddenly your entire day feels heavy. Imagine if nothing anyone said or did could disturb your inner peace. Imagine being so calm, so centered, that no insult, no betrayal, no unfair situation could pull you into anger. This is not just a dream, it is possible, and it starts with training your mind. If you stay with me until the end, you'll learn practical steps to never let anyone's words or actions control your emotions again. By the time you finish listening, you will have a mental shield that keeps your heart light, your mind clear, and your soul unshaken. Control begins within. This is one of the most powerful truths you can ever realize, because once it sinks in, your life will never be the same. Too many of us spend our entire lives blaming other people for how we feel. We say things like, "You made me so angry," or "You ruined my day," as if other people are holding a remote control to our emotions. But the reality is, no one can make you angry. No one can disturb your peace unless you hand them the permission to do so. You are the guardian of your emotions. You are the one who decides whether to open the gate of your heart or to keep it closed to negativity. When you understand this, you stop living like a victim of circumstances and start living like the master of your own state of mind. Think of your inner peace like a beautiful home. Would you let a random stranger walk into your living room with muddy shoes, shouting insults and throwing things around? Of course not. You would protect your space. Yet emotionally, we allow people to do this all the time. Someone says something rude and we invite their words into our hearts, letting them dirty our peace and disturb our minds. The first step to never getting angry or bothered is to decide that your inner peace is sacred, and not everyone has the right to step inside. When someone tries to provoke you, you can observe what they are doing without absorbing it. Their anger does not have to become your anger. Their negativity does not have to become your mood. This doesn't mean you ignore bad behavior or pretend everything is fine. It means you stop allowing other people to control the buttons that set off your emotions. The truth is, every time you lose your temper, every time you allow someone to disturb you, you are handing them a piece of your power. You are saying, "Here, take control of me. Make me dance to your tune." But why would you give anyone that privilege? Why would you let someone you don't even respect have the ability to ruin your day? When you learn to stay centered, you are reclaiming your own power. Training yourself to do this takes practice. The next time someone says something hurtful, pause before reacting. In that pause, remind yourself, I have a choice. You can either let anger take over, or you can protect your peace. Imagine yourself standing inside a glass room and the other person is outside throwing stones. Their words might make a noise, but they cannot touch you unless you open the door. Most people open the door immediately and let everything come inside. But you can train yourself to keep the door shut. Just because someone delivers negativity does not mean you have to accept the delivery. One of the greatest realizations is that people who try to upset you are often dealing with their own pain. Hurt people hurt people. Angry people spread anger because that is what they are full of. When you respond with calmness instead of reacting with anger, you break the cycle. You refuse to pass the fire forward. Think of anger as a spark. You can either add fuel to it, creating a firestorm, or you can refuse to feed it and let it die out. Every moment you choose peace over reaction, you are strengthening your emotional muscles. The beautiful thing about this is that your calmness starts influencing others too. When you refuse to get angry, you disarm people. Many times those who try to bother you are looking for a reaction. They want to see you lose control. When you stay composed, it confuses them. Your silence becomes more powerful than shouting ever could. You may even inspire them to calm down themselves, because calmness is contagious. Another important point is to stop saying, "They made me angry." Replace it with, "I allowed myself to get angry." This simple shift in language reminds you that you are in control. It may feel uncomfortable at first because it forces you to take responsibility, but it is also empowering. If someone else is responsible for your anger, then you are powerless to stop it. But if you are the one who allowed anger in, then you have the power to shut it out next time. This is how you break free from emotional slavery. It's also important to manage your inner dialogue. Often, we don't just get upset because of what someone said. We get upset because of what we keep repeating to ourselves after they say it. For example, if someone insults you, you might replay their words over and over in your mind, adding your own thoughts like, "How dare they say that to me? Who do they think they are?" And with every repetition, your anger grows. If you want to control anger, you must stop feeding it with your own thoughts. Notice when your mind starts replaying an event and gently redirect it. Replace it with a thought like, "That is their problem, not mine. I choose to stay calm." When you learn to control your emotional responses, life becomes much lighter. You stop feeling exhausted by every rude comment or unfair situation. You walk through your day with a sense of dignity and strength. People may still try to disturb you, but you become untouchable, like a mountain standing tall in a storm. The wind may blow, the rain may fall, but the mountain remains unmoved. That is the kind of inner strength you are building when you take control from within. In the end, control is not about controlling other people. It is about controlling yourself. You cannot stop people from being rude, but you can stop yourself from becoming rude in return. You cannot stop negativity from existing, but you can stop it from living rent-free in your heart. You cannot stop the storms of life, but you can choose to be the calm in the storm. When you master this inner control, nothing and no one will ever have the power to disturb your peace again, unless you let them. And that right there is true freedom. Understanding human nature is one of the most powerful ways to stop yourself from getting angry or bothered by people. The reason so many of us become upset is that we expect people to act in ways they simply cannot. We expect perfection from people who are imperfect. We expect wisdom from people who are still learning. We expect kindness from people who are drowning in their own bitterness. When our expectations clash with reality, we feel frustrated, hurt, or betrayed. But the truth is, people behave according to their level of understanding, their experiences, and their inner state. Once you truly grasp this, you stop taking things personally, and you stop giving your peace away to the shortcomings of others. Think about it. If a child throws a tantrum in a store, most parents don't get deeply offended. They know the child doesn't have the maturity to process emotions calmly yet. But when an adult behaves badly, suddenly we get angry. Why? Because we assume adults should know better. Yet the truth is, many adults are just children in grown-up bodies, still driven by ego, insecurities, and unresolved wounds. If you can see them for who they are, not as an enemy trying to attack you, but as someone stuck in their own level of understanding, you free yourself from taking offense. Their actions stop feeling like personal attacks and start looking like symptoms of their own struggles. Every person you meet is shaped by their past, their upbringing, their pain, and their level of awareness. Some people were raised in homes filled with love, while others grew up in toxic environments where shouting and insults were normal. Some people have learned emotional intelligence, while others have never been taught how to manage anger or stress. Expecting everyone to act the same way is like expecting every student in a classroom to score the same grade. It's unrealistic. When you remember this, you begin to approach people with patience instead of frustration. Imagine someone insults you out of nowhere. Instead of instantly reacting, pause and consider what kind of place must this person be in emotionally and mentally to speak like this. A person who is truly happy, fulfilled, and at peace inside does not go around spreading negativity. Anger, rudeness, jealousy, these are signs of inner turmoil. So when someone lashes out, they are actually revealing more about themselves than about you. If you can train yourself to see this, you stop feeling attacked and start feeling compassion, or at least detachment. You begin to think, this is about them, not me. That small shift saves you from wasting energy on anger. When you understand human nature, you also stop expecting gratitude from everyone. You may do good for someone and they may repay you with ingratitude or even betrayal. This can hurt deeply if you expect people to always respond with appreciation. But once you understand that human beings are forgetful, often selfish, and sometimes blind to kindness, you won't take it personally. You do good because it's who you are, not because you want applause. If thanks comes, be grateful. If it doesn't, stay peaceful. The reward of doing good is in the act itself, not in how others respond. Another powerful lesson about human nature is that people see the world not as it is, but as they are. Their perception is colored by their experiences, wounds, and beliefs. If someone is full of jealousy, they will see others through the lens of competition. If someone is bitter, they will assume others have bad intentions. If someone is insecure, they may criticize you to cover their own fears. But all of this is about their lens, not your reality. The problem arises when you confuse their perception with your truth. Once you understand that people project their inner state onto others, you stop carrying their negativity. You don't drink the poison they are offering. To truly master this, you must lower your expectations of others while raising your understanding. This doesn't mean you tolerate abuse or accept mistreatment, but it means you stop being shocked by human behavior. If you know fire burns, you don't put your hand in it and then complain. In the same way, if you know some people are careless with their words, you don't set yourself up to be wounded by their carelessness. Instead, you prepare yourself, you strengthen your patience, and you protect your heart. The less you expect, the less you are disappointed, and the more peace you maintain. You will also find that when you understand human nature, forgiveness becomes easier. How can you hold endless grudges against someone who simply acted according to the limited awareness they had at that moment? If a blind person steps on your foot, you don't explode in anger, you recognize they cannot see. In the same way, many people are spiritually and emotionally blind. They don't realize the damage they cause with their words or actions. That doesn't excuse their behavior, but it explains it. And with understanding comes release. You forgive not because they deserve it, but because you understand their state and you want to preserve your own peace. This perspective also helps in relationships. Instead of constantly fighting over differences, you learn to accept them. Your partner, your family, your friends, they all have flaws. Some are forgetful, some are impatient, some are stubborn. That is human nature. When you stop demanding perfection, you create space for love and tolerance. You learn to choose your battles wisely, letting go of small irritations that are not worth disturbing your peace over. Ultimately, understanding human nature doesn't mean you justify wrong actions, but it allows you to detach. You no longer see every insult, every betrayal, every unkind act as a personal attack on you. You see it as part of the human condition, a reflection of where that person is on their journey. And once you see it that way, you stop carrying their behavior in your heart. You stop letting their flaws awaken your anger. Instead, you walk through life lighter, calmer, and wiser. When you realize that people will always act according to who they are, not according to who you want them to be. You stop fighting reality. You accept that some will misunderstand you, some will criticize you, some will forget the good you did, but none of that has the power to disturb your peace unless you let it. Understanding human nature is the key that unlocks freedom from frustration. Once you hold this key, you see people clearly, you let go of unnecessary expectations, and you remain calm no matter how they act. One of the greatest sources of anger and frustration in life is when we tie our self-worth to how other people treat us or what they think about us. If someone praises us, we feel valuable. And if someone criticizes us, we feel worthless. This is a dangerous way to live because it puts your entire sense of identity in the hands of others. You become like a leaf blown around by the wind. Every compliment lifts you. Every insult knocks you down. If you want to stop being angry or bothered by people, you must detach your worth from their opinions. You must decide once and for all that your value is not determined by anyone else's words, approval, or validation. Your worth is something given to you the moment you were born. It doesn't increase when people applaud you, and it doesn't decrease when they insult you. If a person calls gold a worthless rock, does it stop being gold? Of course not. Its value remains exactly the same. The only thing that changes is their perception. You must begin to see yourself the same way, as someone whose value is fixed and unshaken, regardless of how others perceive you. This shift in thinking is one of the most powerful shields you can build against anger. So much of our emotional pain comes from wanting to be seen a certain way. We want to be respected, appreciated, admired. When people fail to meet that expectation, we feel hurt and angry. But here is the truth: no one can fully understand your heart, your intentions, or your journey. If you live waiting for everyone to validate you, you will spend your life in chains. The day you stop seeking that validation is the day you set yourself free. This does not mean you stop caring about growth or feedback, but it means you no longer let other people's opinions decide how you feel about yourself. Consider this: the very same crowd that praises someone today may criticize them tomorrow. People are unpredictable. Their opinions are shaped by their mood, their personal struggles, their biases, and sometimes even their jealousy. If you base your self-esteem on such a shaky foundation, you will always feel unsettled. Detaching your worth means you anchor yourself to something deeper: your values, your faith, your character. You measure yourself not by applause, but by whether you are living true to your principles. When you achieve this state, insults lose their power over you. Imagine someone calls you a failure. If you know deep inside that you are trying your best, that you are walking the right path, their words cannot wound you. It becomes like someone pointing at the sky and insisting it is green when you clearly see it is blue. You may find it strange, but you don't lose sleep over it because you know the truth. The more you know who you are, the less you need others to tell you. This detachment also protects you from overreacting to criticism. Many times, anger rises because we take criticism as a personal attack on our worth. But once your worth is secure, you can evaluate criticism calmly. If it's valid, you can learn from it without feeling crushed. If it's false, you can ignore it without feeling wounded. Either way, you remain at peace. This is emotional maturity, the ability to stand tall even when others are trying to pull you down. Another trap to avoid is living for the approval of people. If your happiness depends on people liking you, you will bend yourself out of shape trying to please everyone. And no matter how hard you try, someone will still find fault with you. People will judge you whether you do good or bad. So stop chasing their approval and focus on doing what is right. When you act from integrity, you sleep with a clear conscience, and that is worth more than the applause of the entire world. Detaching your self-worth also means learning to speak kindly to yourself. Many people are harsh on themselves, repeating negative things they've heard from others until they start believing them. If someone once called them useless, They carry that word like a wound and react with anger whenever anyone reminds them of it. But you have the power to rewrite the story. Instead of replaying hurtful words, start affirming your own value. Remind yourself that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you are enough. The more you build this inner foundation, the less external negativity can shake you. You must also understand that your worth does not depend on perfection. Sometimes we get angry because deep down we feel ashamed of our flaws, and when someone points them out, we react defensively. But the truth is, everyone has flaws, no one is perfect. Accepting yourself, imperfections and all, is part of detaching your worth from others. You can acknowledge mistakes without letting them define you. You can grow and improve without hating yourself in the process. When you detach your worth, you also stop competing with others. Many people become angry or jealous because they constantly compare themselves to those around them. They feel less than when someone else succeeds. But your value is not a competition. Someone else's success does not reduce your worth. There is enough space in the world for everyone to shine. When you truly believe this, you celebrate others instead of resenting them, and you protect yourself from the anger that comparison brings. Ultimately, detaching your worth from others' opinions is about reclaiming your power. You no longer allow random words, gossip, or unfair treatment to shake your sense of identity. You walk into every room with quiet confidence, knowing who you are. You do not rise and fall with the moods of those around you. You become unshakable. And when you reach this state, you will notice that anger and irritation rarely visit you anymore, because there is nothing left for them to feed on. You are grounded in something far deeper than fleeting opinions. One of the most practical and life-changing tools you can use to master your emotions is the ability to delay your reaction. Most anger problems are not caused by what happens to us, but by how quickly and impulsively we react. Someone says something offensive, and before we even think, we shout back. Someone cuts us off in traffic, and before we take a breath, we are honking and swearing. Our emotions flare up instantly, and we hand control of our behavior over to that split-second impulse. But if you want to stop being angry or bothered by others, you must learn the power of the pause. That short gap between what happens to you and how you respond is where your strength lies. When you practice emotional delay, you give your mind time to catch up with your emotions. Anger is like a spark. It ignites quickly, but if you don't feed it, it fizzles out. If you can just pause for a few moments before speaking or acting, you will find that most of the heat disappears. The first rush of anger is usually the most dangerous. It pushes you to say things you don't mean, to slam doors, to react in ways that create more harm than good. But when you pause, you give yourself space to choose a wiser, calmer response. Pausing doesn't mean suppressing what you feel. It simply means not letting that first wave of emotion take control of your actions. Think of it like standing at the edge of a river. The current is strong, and if you jump in without thinking, you will be swept away. The pause is your moment to step back. Observe the current and decide if you really want to step into it or find a safer way across. In the same way, when anger comes, pause long enough to see if reacting will solve anything or just make things worse. Most of the time, silence and patience will protect you from regrets later. One of the simplest ways to practice emotional delay is through breathing. When you feel anger rising, take a slow, deep breath. Then take another. Focus on your breath and allow your heart rate to slow down. This may seem small, but it has a powerful effect on your nervous system. It signals to your brain that you are safe, that you are in control. By the time you finish just a few breaths, you will feel a bit calmer and you will be able to think more clearly. You can also train yourself to count before reacting. Count slowly to 5 or 10 before you respond. Those few seconds can be the difference between saying something destructive and saying something constructive. It is in those moments of pause that you remember your values, your goals, and your dignity. You remember that your peace is more important than winning an argument. You remember that reacting in anger might hurt someone you love or escalate a conflict unnecessarily. Practicing emotional delay is not always easy, especially if you are used to reacting immediately. At first, you may fail many times. You may find yourself regretting words you spoke in anger or actions you took in the heat of the moment. But every time you reflect afterward and wish you had paused, you are training yourself. The next time a similar situation comes, you will remember the pain of your last reaction and be more motivated to hold back. Slowly, your ability to pause grows stronger, like a muscle being exercised. This habit can completely transform relationships. Many arguments between couples and family members spiral out of control because no one pauses to think. Words are exchanged in anger, and those words leave scars. But when even one person practices the pause, it creates space for understanding. Instead of shouting back, you can calmly express how you feel later, when your mind is clear. Instead of reacting to someone's rudeness, You can choose to respond with dignity, which often disarms them. This not only preserves your peace but often prevents unnecessary fights. Delaying your reaction also protects you from being manipulated. Some people deliberately try to provoke you because they know if they can make you lose control, they have power over you. But when you stay calm and refuse to react immediately, you take away that power. Your silence becomes your strength. Your patience becomes your shield. It's not about letting people walk all over you. It's about refusing to let them control your emotions. Another benefit of emotional delay is that it helps you make wiser decisions. When you act in anger, you often regret what you did later. But when you wait, even for a short while, you give your brain time to process the situation logically. You can ask yourself important questions. Is this really worth my energy? Will reacting help or harm me? What is the most respectful way I can handle this? The answers you get in a calm state are usually far better than the choices you make in a heated state. Over time, you will notice that this habit of pausing makes you a more patient person overall. You will no longer feel like a puppet controlled by every small irritation. You will walk through life with a sense of calm authority, knowing that you choose how to respond. And when you do choose to speak or act, it will be from a place of strength, not from weakness or impulse. The pause may only last a few seconds, but its impact can last a lifetime. It can save relationships, protect your dignity, and preserve your inner peace. It can turn moments of potential regret into moments of wisdom. Practicing emotional delays is one of the most powerful tools you have to stop anger from controlling you and to stop other people from bothering you. It is proof that you are not a slave to your emotions. You are their master. And the more you practice this skill, the calmer, stronger, and free you become. The way you see a situation often matters more than the situation itself. Two people can go through the exact same experience and have completely different reactions. One remains calm, the other explodes in anger. The difference is perspective. If you want to stop being angry or bothered by others, you must learn to control the meaning you attach to what happens. Perspective is a choice, and every situation is neutral until you give it meaning. The same words that hurt one person might not bother another at all, because they see them differently. This is the power you have to choose how you interpret the actions of others and the events of life. When someone criticizes you, you can choose to see it as an attack, or you can choose to see it as feedback, an opportunity to grow. When someone insults you, you can choose to see it as proof of their bad character, rather than as a reflection of your worth. When life throws a difficult situation at you, you can choose to see it as a punishment or as a test meant to strengthen you. This mental reframing is the difference between a person who is easily shaken by every challenge and a person who stays calm under pressure. Anger often comes from the meaning we attach to an event rather than the event itself. Imagine you are waiting for an important message and someone takes a long time to reply. You might immediately think they are ignoring me on purpose and feel upset. But if you pause and change your perspective, maybe they are busy, maybe they haven't seen it yet, the anger disappears. The situation hasn't changed, only the way you see it has, but that shift is enough to protect your peace. Choosing perspective also means seeing challenges as opportunities. Life will never stop throwing difficulties at you. People will always say things that could potentially bother you. If you treat every challenge as a lesson, you stop feeling like a victim and start feeling like a student. When someone is rude to you, instead of reacting with anger, ask yourself, what is this moment teaching me? Is it teaching me patience? Is it teaching me to stay calm under pressure? Is it teaching me to detach my emotions from someone else's negativity? This way, even unpleasant moments become stepping stones to your personal growth. One of the most liberating perspectives you can adopt is to believe that nothing anyone does can truly harm you unless you allow it to harm your heart. Their words may sound sharp, but they cannot touch your dignity unless you let them in. You get to decide whether to take offense. Many times we hold on to hurtful words long after the moment has passed, replaying them in our minds, keeping the wound fresh. But if you choose to let those words go the moment you hear them, you prevent them from leaving scars. Perspective is what allows you to drop the weight before it becomes a burden. Another powerful perspective shift is to assume positive intent when possible. If someone's words could be interpreted in more than one way, choose the interpretation that gives them the benefit of the doubt. This does not mean you become naive or let people mistreat you, but it means you choose to see situations in the light most likely to protect your peace. For example, if a friend forgets to call you back, you can think, they don't care about me, and feel hurt. Or you can think, they must have gotten busy, I'll check in later. The second perspective keeps you calm and prevents unnecessary anger. Your perspective also determines the size of the problem in your mind. A small inconvenience can feel huge if you magnify it, and a big problem can feel manageable if you shrink it. Perspective allows you to zoom out and see the bigger picture. Will this issue matter a year from now? Will it matter next week? If not, why let it destroy your peace today? Most of the things we get angry about are temporary and insignificant in the grand scheme of life. When you remind yourself of that, you take back control. Perspective is also about refusing to label every difficult person as your enemy. Some people are simply unaware, some are struggling with their own pain, and some are just acting from ignorance. If you see every rude comment as an intentional attack, you will constantly feel under threat. But if you see it as a reflection of where that person is on their journey, you detach emotionally. You stop taking it as a personal mission to defend yourself against every insult. You realize that their behavior says more about them than about you. Choosing perspective over reaction also means learning to laugh at some situations instead of being angered by them. There are moments in life where humor is the best response. When someone tries to provoke you, smiling and walking away can be more powerful than any words you could say. It shows that you are in control of yourself and that their negativity has no hold on you. Ultimately, choosing perspective is about becoming the master of your inner world. Life is full of triggers, but you decide what meaning to give them. Every time you choose a perspective that keeps you calm, you strengthen your emotional resilience. You begin to live in a state where outside chaos cannot disturb your inner peace. People may still try to upset you, but you no longer react. You respond thoughtfully. And often your calmness has the power to calm others as well. When you live like this, life feels lighter. You no longer waste energy being upset over every small thing. You no longer give away your joy to every passing irritation. You walk through challenges with dignity because you have trained yourself to see everything through a lens that serves your growth rather than destroys your peace. That is the true power of perspective. It transforms not just how you feel about what happens to you, but how you experience life itself. Letting go is one of the most powerful skills you can ever learn if you want to live a life free from constant anger, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. Most people are not weighed down by what is happening right now, but by what has already happened. Things that cannot be changed, words that were spoken long ago, betrayals that are long past, mistakes that are already over. They carry these moments like heavy stones on their back, and then wonder why they feel so tired, so bitter, so quick to react to the smallest irritation. To stop being angry and bothered by others, you must release this baggage. You must choose to let go. Not because what happened was okay, but because you refuse to allow it to poison your heart any longer. When you hold on to anger, it becomes like drinking a little poison every day, hoping the other person will suffer. But in reality, you are the one who suffers most. You replay the hurtful event in your mind. You relive the pain. You keep the wound open. Every time you see that person or remember that situation, you feel the same anger as if it just happened. This is emotional imprisonment. The other person may have moved on, they may not even be thinking about you, but you are still chained to what they did. The only way to free yourself is to let go. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean pretending the pain never happened or allowing people to mistreat you again. It means you choose not to carry it anymore. You acknowledge what happened, you learn the lesson from it, and then you release the emotional grip it has on you. You decide that your peace is more valuable than holding on to resentment. This is not weakness. It is strength. It takes far more strength to forgive and release than to hold on and stay bitter. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. Many people live angry, not at others, but at themselves. They replay their own mistakes and failures, saying, "Why did I do that? Why wasn't I smarter? Why didn't I see this coming?" And with every repetition, they sink deeper into regret. But holding on to guilt does not undo the past. The only way to move forward is to accept that you are human, that you made a mistake, that you cannot change what happened, and then let it go. Learn the lesson, grow wiser, but stop punishing yourself. Self-forgiveness is one of the most liberating acts you can perform. Letting go also means releasing the need for revenge or for everyone to agree that you were right. Many people remain trapped in anger because they want justice. They want the other person to admit they were wrong, to apologize, to make things right. But the reality is, some people will never apologize. Some will never see the pain they caused. If you wait for them to acknowledge it before you free yourself, you may wait your whole life. The power is in your hands. You can decide today that you will not wait another moment to reclaim your peace. You let go for your own sake, not theirs. One of the most beautiful truths about letting go is that it creates space in your life for better things to come. As long as your hands are full of old pain, you cannot receive new blessings. When you release resentment, you make room for joy. When you release grudges, you make room for better relationships. When you release anger, you make room for calm. Your heart cannot be both full of bitterness and full of peace at the same time. You must choose which one you want to carry. Letting go also means letting go of control, the idea that you can control how others behave, what they think of you, or how life should turn out. Much of our frustration comes from fighting reality, wishing people were different, wishing events had gone another way. But life does not always follow our plans. People will act according to who they are, not according to what we wish. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you free yourself from constant disappointment. Acceptance is not approval, but it is a way of saying, I may not like this, but I will not allow it to control me. There will always be moments when the memory of what happened returns, when the old anger tries to rise again. This is natural. Letting go is not a one-time event, it is often a process. Every time the memory comes, you can remind yourself, I have already released this. I will not let it steal my peace again. Over time, the memory loses its sting, the anger fades, and the wound heals. You begin to feel lighter, freer, more alive. Letting go also strengthens your ability to stay calm in future situations. When you have trained yourself to release anger from the past, you become quicker at releasing it in the present. Someone may insult you, and instead of carrying it for days, you release it in hours or even minutes. You stop allowing small irritations to build up into large explosions. Your emotional life becomes more balanced, more peaceful. In the end, letting go is a gift you give yourself. The person who hurt you may never change. The past may never be different. But you can change. You can choose peace over pain, freedom over bondage, joy over bitterness. And when you do, you become unshakable. No one's words, no one's actions, no one's mistakes, not even your own, can keep you trapped anymore. You rise above it all, carrying only what is worth carrying: wisdom, strength, and a heart that is light and free.